right, good evening. Let's call this meeting to order. Thank you everyone for showing up. We've got people online as well. And let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Director Bill. If you have a hat on, please remove it and face the flag. Thank you, Jeff. In addition to the Pledge of Allegiance on this Super Tuesday, if everyone could just, we'd like to have a moment of silence. We've had two brave souls in our community pass away over the last 2 weeks. One is Eric Friga, passed away, a firefighter and a father of three. So that's a big loss. And also, if anyone knew Mary Coster was probably one of the most positive and sunny people you'll ever met. And she passed away after her battle with breast cancer. So if you just take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Okay, let's open the meeting, verify quorum, please.
Director Bell,
Here.
Director Cook,
Here.
Director Commission,
Here.
Director Doherty,
Here.
President Van Vliet,
Here.
by present, quorum met.
Thank you, Harmony. And we have minutes from February 6th and February 20th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes, please?
A motion. Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
All right, we are fortunate to have two public officials here today. So we're going to, ladies first, Darcy, why don't you start us off?
Thank you, President Van Vliet, board, residents, guests, friends. Couple quick things. March 23rd, the Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District will host Splash into Spring. So if you're interested to see how wastewater is processed, I encourage you to come visit our regional reclamation plant before we take that offline for guests and visitors, and work on our expansion was about $280 million. That'll start shortly. And there'll also be things for the kids to do, the family. I think Director Bill actually came last year, so thank you for supporting that effort. But there's something for everyone, including our avid gardening group. There's free plants, there's tips, there's hose bibs, all kinds of good things. So I encourage the community to come out for that. Metropolitan Water District of Southern California is where our water district and most of this region buys most of their imported water. We are 70% dependent on Metropolitan. They are considering a 23% rate increase right now. And so I will tell you that Director Jeff Armstrong from Eastern and myself, among others, are diligently fighting and finding other ways Metropolitan can balance their budget. And going back to some of the historical ways in which they funded ways to actually build the Colorado River Aqueduct and Lake Havasu. So you may see some things in the newspaper. It's a very trying time. A strong Met is important for all of us. That's where we get most of our water as a region. It serves 21 million people, and without reliable water, our economy's at stake, our livelihoods at stake. But we need to be realistic and make sure that it's affordable, reliable water. So those efforts are going on now, and they will continue probably until May. Also wanted to mention that over the next few months, you're going to probably have some weeds popping up in the lake. I want to remind people, do not treat them with Roundup or other chemicals. You have to mechanically or physically remove the weeds. I know that's a problem that comes up. I know they're an irritant for boaters and for swimmers, but please do not put chemicals in the lake. That is a huge issue and a problem. So I think that the best course of action, I believe that the POA has actually worked out something where maintenance will come take those or put them in your green bin and they can be taken away, but please do not put chemicals into the lake. And obviously the lake is high. We're going to get more rain on Wednesday. So please be aware of the safety of that as well, because I'm sure the dam will be spilling on Thursday. So, and as of today, the state has 104% of its expected snowpack. Our snowpack in the Sierras is our largest reservoir. So maybe after 2 years of record precipitation, the governor will lift our emergency drought declaration. I can only hope. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Darcy. Directors, any comments or questions?
Hi, Darcy. On that, I think you said 20% increase for Metropolitan,
23.
23%.
It wasn't 30.
And is that over a period of time?
No.
When would it take effect?
That would start July 1st.
I'm sorry,
July 1st.
July 1st, one jump, 23%.
Correct.
And how is that going to affect
It's just a pass through. That's how our rate structure is done.
same rate?
That we would just pass that cost on.
Ouch.
Ouch is a word. That's not the word I used.
Thank you.
You're
Same number of
welcome.
letters in the word, though.
We are exploring other options that would make that percentage down to 5, which is reasonable and expected.
Very good. Jeff?
I just want to add to what Darcy said. I have people come up to me all the time about wanting to put chemicals in there for the weed growth. I work in the water industry. I design the equipment that they use to treat these reservoirs with. And I will tell you that the plants are not designed, the treatment plants, not the plants in the lake. The treatment plants are not designed to remove the chemicals such as Roundup and some of these other items. So you don't want to put that in there because this is drinking water. They're not designed to be removed by precipitation technologies, and they can foul the resins that are used for PFAS removal. So you're actually doing a little more damage than just the chemicals. You're also affecting the PFAS treatment.
Yep.
That's it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Darcy.
Thank you.
Mayor Welty.
I forget the red light, right? So thank you for having me today. Appreciate it. I think the first thing obviously is today's voting day, and we don't want anyone to leave necessarily, but you do have a little over an hour to get down and get voted to City Hall, so you have a chance to vote. I just want to, we met with the POA this week. Jeremy and I met with 2 of the board members and with Eric, and Nicole was with us, and we had a really great meeting. We talked about how we can join some of these events together and we can work together. We do a lot of events here, and some of them we do separately, and it really kind of didn't make sense to celebrate certain occasions in a separate way. And we talked about how great it would be for everybody to get together. So that's one of the things we're working on. The other one we talked about was we're looking to apply for a grant for about $184,000 for recreation grant, and we're hoping we can bring that into the association and possibly bring that to Outrigger Park and be able to bring in about by the time all said, probably about 200,000 to do some improvement. So we discussed that. It's still not final, but you got to start everything with discussion, and I'm pretty optimistic we'll be able to do something. So that's the good news. Just to let you know, we also talked about possible projects in the future for energy efficiency. The federal government, the state government's coming out, and they're going to be opening the tap on providing funding for some things that are energy efficient. We may be able to look at the lights at the golf field and possibly do something there with some grant money. So that's one of the discussions. The sad thing was we built, we had the solar panels put in Canyon Lake, and we went with a pay for power plan because we couldn't get the tax breaks that were available to the general public. Well, they've since allowed that those tax breaks would go into place, and we could have never waited, but it would have been nice if they would have done that 3 years ago and we could have got the big check from the government, but that's coming. The options on at least the lights are coming. So the next city meeting is next Wednesday, March 13th. We want to invite you all down to come and discuss what we're going to go through. We're looking at the mid-year budget. We're looking at some other items. So we want to welcome you to come down to City Hall and see that. Thank you.
Dale, is there a breakfast with the mayor or a coffee with the mayor tomorrow morning?
Oh, thank you. Yes, tomorrow morning, 7:30 at the Country Club. Welcome down to breakfast with the mayor. We'll probably have a staff member or 2. Unfortunately, the sad news is Darcy Burke, who's always there, probably more than I've been there, can't make it tomorrow because she does have other things to do for us in the water company. So sadly, she won't be there. but I'll be there and the city staff will be there.
Any other questions or comments from directors? Thank you, Dale. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And the
Thank you. All right, I believe that we've exhausted our public official comments. Unless there's anyone else come up forward? No? All right, we have a few presentations this evening. And let's begin with a community patrol update. Zach.
Good evening. In the month of January, we received 3 calls regarding speeding, and our patrol officers issued 6 citations that month. We received 53 calls regarding parking and 167 citations were issued. We received 66 reports from our gate officers of people who did not comply with the community policy of entering the community, and 15 citations were issued. We were able to go ahead and contact 47 of those people while they're inside the community, have them comply and leave. We had 2 calls regarding golf carts. 1 citation was issued. We had 31 calls regarding e-bikes. 2 citations were issued. We have 2 reports of vandalism. We had 16 property damage calls where we were able to identify all those individuals. We had 17 calls regarding loud noise. 3 citations were issued for that. We had a total of 247 service calls that month, and 33 were unable to locate. 82 citations were issued to guests. 1 was issued to a service provider. 92 of those were issued to members, and 147 warning citations were issued, with 78 speed trailer citations issued out. We spent a total time of 140 minutes at main gate to assist with easing the traffic and entering the community, and 176 passes were confiscated by our officers at the gate.
Any questions for Allied? All right, go ahead.
You know, we've got the new e-bike rules coming, and we've had a month of leeway. Where is that going now, and what are we going to see coming up in your mind as far as enforcement?
So enforcement timeframe is actually going on now, where we actually have stops going on. If you do not have your e-bike registered with the POA and having it displayed on your bike, you may have a patrol officer pulling you over and asking for the registration. If you do not have that registration, there will be documentation for that. It may not be a fine right away, but we are going to go ahead and start documenting that people have been notified that they need to go ahead and get those registered as soon as possible.
So it'll be a warning first, then a citation?
It'll be a warning first, and then we're going to move, and then it'll be moved on to a citation after the warnings have been issued.
Thanks, Zach.
No problem.
Thanks. And just as long as we're on the subject of e-bikes, I'll throw one data point, and maybe stealing Lynn's thunder, but there have, as of today, 380 bikes have been registered and tags issued. So that's good. We are at the end of the grace period, as Zach said. And so if you haven't done it yet, strongly encourage everyone to go out and get your e-bike, your electric bike registered. Thanks. Thank you, Zach. All right, now for the fun part of this is the best part of the meeting, as far as I'm concerned. So we started a few months ago recognizing some of our exemplary individuals. And tonight we are going to recognize Shauna Bowen. Just to give you a little background on Shauna. Shauna has been in the healthcare claims management business, I think, for about 10 years, both with United Healthcare and now with Optum. I'm glad to hear that, because I have an Optum membership, so that's good. She's been a resident here since 2009. Shauna founded the Family Matters Club in 2014 to offer family-friendly, low-cost events. They are this year celebrating their 10-year anniversary, and they were named the Organization of the Year in 2015. Because Shauna is an overachiever, she has been a member of the Women's Club for 9 years, or 8 years rather, and she's been on the board for the last 6, and she is currently the president in their 50th anniversary year. She's also been a yeoman of the yacht club for a couple of years. She is a member of the car club and the Fine Arts Guild, and also the travel club. And because that's not enough, She also, in her spare time, manages some Canyon Lake Facebook groups, including the Canyon Lake Exchange page, community events and activities pages. And she's created a couple of new groups to help with the community, like the Booze Fairies, Flotopia, and group therapy. And so, like I said, she's done a lot for our community. This is she's very, very well deserving. And so, Shauna, if you please come up, we'd like to recognize you with this certificate. Come on up. I know you don't like this. Oh, thank you so much. So much for all of us. I really appreciate it. Good on representing. I know. You okay?
Thanks. I've worked out, but you said.
Oh, no.
Like, I think I'm still like doing. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks all you do, Shauna. That's me. I know. All right, the next honor goes to, we also have a member, or employee of the quarter. And Lynn, you want to take the lead on this one for us, please?
Sure. Yes. So recently, this was something developed in-house that the employees can submit a nomination for an employee of the quarter, and then that's filtered through corporate, and then the employee is selected. The employee of the quarter this quarter, I think I saw her back there, is our Miss Faith Campus. Faith began working for the CLPOA in January 2021. She was promoted to the Lead Member Services Associate in May of 2023. And most recently, she was promoted to our Operations Specialist position in January of 2024. Faith has exceptional customer service skills. She's been complimented to management multiple times on her high level of service, patience, work ethic, and dependability. Faith is always friendly to staff, customers, and does her best every day to assist others and resolve any issues that members may have. Faith goes above and beyond in her attitude and service towards others. According to Android Authority, yes. Faith has been a dedicated staff member, always willing to learn, assist the departments, and be a critical thinker when needed to assist with the members and staff. We thank Faith for her service to Canyon Lake and the CLPOA. Congratulations.
Come on up, Faith. You know, another piece, it's really great that we're recognizing the employees as well, because so many members do so much for all of us as residents and us members. And so it's this is a great honor for us to be able to join in and recognize them. You know, there's one other person that should be recognized, that a piece of data, again, I'm going off script, but what's big surprise? I heard today we have our longest tenured employee is retiring, 33 years with the POA. Our equestrian manager. And so again, congratulations to him and thank you to him for that tremendous service. And there's more to come, but we'll hold that for later. Okay. All right, we don't have any announcements. And so this is an opportunity. Are there any members that have requested to speak on non-personnel issues?
Yes, we have two. Our first is Matt Boyan.
Matt, come on up, sit down and press the red button when you're ready to speak.
Good evening, Matt Boyan, 3869041. Hopefully you have before you a little packet I prepared, and I know you can't make any decisions tonight, but I wanted to make sure you had what I was going to speak about. I'm going to keep it brief because I know you have a long meeting. We are transitioning from a wakeboard boat to a pontoon boat. 2024, manufacturers have changed a lot. It's getting more and more difficult to find something that meets their current rules of 21.6 deck length on a pontoon. So I gave you some examples just to kind of compare. And I know, at least from what I've learned in my 20-some years here, weight and size of boat is a big concern for seawalls, shoreline, and docks. Currently, a legal wakeboard boat that they're selling and very popular in the lake, and I'm not disparaging it. It's just a fact that you can put that on the lake, weighs 5,800 pounds dry. It's 21.6 without the swim deck, 23.7 with the swim deck. The pontoons I've been looking at, it's hard to find something that meets that. And even current manufacturers that are on this lake, they've changed and they no longer meet the spec. We found one we think that is good compromise. The pontoons themselves are 21 feet long, but the deck itself is 23 feet long. Now and I've given you examples, and I'd be glad to provide more in the future if you need it. I was trying to get this together real quick. The last 2 feet plus is not usable underway. The last 18 inches, which puts it over the 21.6 currently available, is cantilevered. It is not part, it doesn't affect any of the in-water boat itself. And that boat is over 1/3 less the weight than the current legal wakeboard boat that you can put in here. So anyway, I'm just asking for your consideration. I know you can't make any decisions tonight, but if you don't mind reviewing it, if you have any questions, my contact information is on there. Please reach out. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Matt. We
Thank you.
appreciate the information. We'll certainly take it under consideration.
Thank you very much for your time.
Our last is Don Potenza.
Apologize about the phone. It's a new phone and I was trying to turn it off and couldn't figure it out. So if it rings, I apologize. Anyway, I think we can generate more revenue for the golf course with the outside memberships. From what most of us understand, there's a waiting list for it. And in reality, they're paying less than an annual resident. They're paying $33.50 a year. They have to golf about 70 rounds to break even. If they get a golf cart for those 70 rounds, which they do, that's a value at $17 each of $1,190. So they're paying $21.60, $40 less than a resident annual. Resident annuals have to golf 46 rounds to break even. And if we had to rent the cart for those rounds, it'd be $782 a year. Brings it up to $2,982 for residents. If there's a waiting list, we're obviously not charging enough. And we can generate a lot more funds. They at $4,000 a year, they'd have to golf 49 rounds in a year to break even. And even at that, they'd save $1,411 on golf carts, which makes them pay $2,589 a year. That's one issue I was concerned about. The other is the redoing of the tee box on number 2, because folks are stepping into gentleman's rocks, which I've observed and is very not proper. I know there's concern about the golf equipment having to cross Canyon Lake Drive, but they have to anyway to go between 2 and 3. There was also talk about 6-person carts not making the turn up there. I golf with several people that have 6-seater carts. They have no issues with that. Instead of spending $80,000, $90,000 to reconfigure it, because the hole's hard enough anyway, you make it longer, it's going to be harder, but it's hard enough. Put a wrought iron fence on our curb, which is right next door, that has the same wrought iron fence, and people aren't going to step on the guy's rocks, and it's not going to cost anywhere near that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don, if I may. Appreciate your comments. And I wanted to let you know that we are approving the budget today with fee increases. And specifically, and it won't be broken down tonight, but I can tell you that outside annual memberships are going up and golf carts will not be included.
Okay,
So
great.
it'll be an extra cost. So we hear your comments and we have addressed it, maybe not to the levels that you might like to see, but we are in the process of working on that.
Well,
So
that's great. I just hope they're more equitable. That's all.
thank
Yeah,
you.
Don,
Thank you.
I'll add one comment too, and that is there was a proposal to do a study. The funds have not been authorized to spend that on hold too yet. It's going to come back for us after they do the evaluation. But thank you for your comments. That we do appreciate the feedback from the community. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for those comments, as always. And if, for those who aren't able to come and be here, as always, I know some of you do, you're always welcome and free to send a letter to the board@canyonlakepoa.com. Let's see, consent agenda. Can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A and B?
So moved.
It's a
Second.
first and a second, okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
All right. Now for the person of the hour, let's bring Susan Dodwood up to talk to us about money.
Good evening. The first proposal I'm bringing to you is about the operating budget for the upcoming 24-25 fiscal year. The operating budget for 24-25 is presented for approval by the board or to the board. The proposed operating budget has been reviewed, recommended by management and the finance committee. The fiscal impact of the proposed operating budget is a net subsidy of $14,413,984. It's recommended that the Board of Directors approve the attached operating budget as part of the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2024.
Do we have a motion to approve the fee schedule? I will make a motion to approve so that we can discuss it further. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any comments from the, so we have a first and a second? Any comments from the members on the budget? Okay, let's have a discussion among the board members. Start off with some questions. Susan, with this approved budget, what is the net increase on a monthly basis to the annual dues?
The net increase would be $12.
Okay. Now, if I'm correct, I just want to, from a procedure standpoint, is that deferred to item 8.3 under the annual assessment, or should we address it in this item? Should we address it now, Harmony? This item, because the annual assessment kind of they're tied together. Can we address both at the same time? That work?
If this number changes, it would change the overall annual assessment, but you're trying to make a motion for 2 combined into 1?
No, okay, so we can approve this budget. Not sure how to address
We
it.
usually approve the operating budget, then the reserve budget, and then the final is the fee.
So one question is, there was the fees in here, do they include, which fees are in here? There were 2 proposals put forward by the finance committee at the workshop.
All right, let me clarify.
Thank you.
This budget was prepared by the managers and the general manager. It does not include another proposal by the finance committee, which was separate. And that proposal included a 5% fee increase across the board for all fees. This does not include that calculation.
Okay. Does this include the cost of the new community patrol contract in this budget?
This does not include the costs. We did not have that information at the time the finance committee met.
So it doesn't include either one of the recommendations from Finance Committee or the community patrol contract yet.
No, sir.
It includes all other costs as presented to management and reviewed by the Finance Committee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any other questions, board member?
Well, rather than approve that, I would like to see a budget numbers based on those items being included, the fee schedule and the community patrol price increase, and what the monthly fee would be.
With
And,
the,
excuse me, I'm sorry, and the adjustment of the road reserve account to 1.7.
That's going to be under reserves.
Oh, you're right. Well, no, it was still,
We'll do a budget first and then the.
okay, I'm sorry.
that's all right.
Okay.
So what we have,
Subjects, yeah.
the impact of those two changes, number one, the increase in the security patrol contract. And number two, the option to increase across the board our fees by 5% would make an operating budget of $14,327,318.
Go ahead.
And with the current reserve accounts that are listed on this submittal, what would that, how would that impact the
That's separate.
monthly dues?
Let's hold that question until we get to the next step, which is the dues. So I think let's just deal with the operating budget for starters. We'll get to that and we get to the dues. Any other questions on the budget?
I'm going to make another motion to adopt that recommendation,
You're going to make a subsidiary motion
subsidiary motion.
Thank you.
Yes, to
to
adopt that proposal.
to include the 5% fee increase and to include the cost of the community patrol contract for a budget of 14,327,318. Is that what you meant to say, Joe?
That's perfect.
I will second that recommendation. Any other discussion on that? Then now we can have a discussion. No, okay. Any other discussion, board members?
Well, I'd like to attach some numbers to those items. The increase in the fees increased our revenue by $231,000. That's estimated, of course, but based on historical numbers. And the revised community patrol, the bid we received is $80,000 more than the preliminary number in the budget presented at the budget workshop. So there's some numbers attached to those items.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I'd like to clarify why the budget is up as well. That represents what we just did, the subsidiary proposal or motion raises it's an increase in the budget of 6%. That is driven largely by three things. One, cost of living is up 5%. Okay, costs are up 5%. Greg addressed the community patrol contract is an increase as well. It's been recompleted after 3 years. And the third item is if in the restaurant budgets are up, and I know I get a lot of questions why from members. And it's driven by two things. One is, as you know, we live in the state of California, and there are fixed increases to the staffing, just what you pay staff members, employees. And so there are fixed increases to that. The other thing is compared to last year, our food prices, the cost, not food prices, the food cost is up 25%. And anyone who's gone grocery shopping in the last year or eaten at your other favorite restaurants knows that that's probably about right. So those combination of things is what drives this budget to be up 6% over last year. Okay, with that, let's let's vote on the subsidiary motion until after Joe makes another comment. Yes, thank you. Yes, and since this is, as Joe properly mentioned, this is a financial item. Anytime we take a vote on a financial item, let's do it in roll call fashion. So Harmony, if you would please do that for us.
Director Bill,
Here.
I'm sorry, in
All
favor?
right, yeah.
Director Cook? Director Cook? In-
Yay.
Director Commission?
Aye.
Director Doherty?
Aye.
President Van Vliet?
Aye.
5 in favor, motion carried.
Phew. All right, that was easy. Let's get to the next one, Susan.
The next proposal is regarding our reserve funding. Only the board can authorize the expenditure of reserve funds. The requested budgeted contributions for the repair and replacement reserve is $2,775,000. The requested contribution for the road reserve is $1,100,000. And the requested annual budgeted contributions for the capital improvement fund is $500,000. The fiscal impact of the proposed projects has been contemplated and incorporated into the budget for fiscal year 24-25. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve the funding levels presented above as an integral part of the Canyon Lake property owner's budget for the year.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Comments, we have a first and a second. Any comments from the community on reserve contributions? No, okay. And these, so we'll discuss among the board members, and these contributions are what was recommended by the Finance Committee, correct?
That is correct.
And that's 3 million, again, 3 million repair and reserve, repair and replacement, $1,000,001 for road reserve, and 500K for capital improvements.
Yes, thank you for correcting me. It is 3 million for the repair and replacement fund.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay.
I'll make another subsidiary motion that we adjust the repair and replacement reserve account to, oh, we already had that at 2.775, excuse me. And adjust the road reserve to 1.7 million and keep the capital improvement at 500,000.
Second.
Maybe let's take a moment and enlighten people as to why we would do such a thing.
Well, I can speak to the road reserve and know, and I think everybody knows we're in the midst of a major project throughout the community. We have 37 miles of roads and we've only done less than half of that right now. And we have the other half, which significant amount of work. And if we shortchange our reserves for the road reserves, we're only going to lengthen the project and the costs are going to go up. So the board felt that it's very important that we put as much money aside for road reserves in this fiscal year and try to get as much work done as we can.
Yeah, I'll add a couple of points too. Where that was what you proposed is taking the recommendation for the repair and replacement down by 225,000. And I believe when I sat through the budget workshop activities with the Finance Committee, the reason that was increased, and by the way, 2,775 is what we put in last year. So a 3 million would be an increase. And the reason that was recommended by the Finance Committee, and correct me if I'm wrong, Finance Committee members who are here, the reason that was recommended was to help increase the reserve percentage that's out there. When we did that, however, it results in only about a 1% increase in that. And so we recognize the intent. I think what's being proposed here is, hey, let's not forget, we still have a lot to do on the roads. And so taking that money and putting it, instead of increasing it that level, taking it back to last year's level, same as we did last year, and putting the same amount back into road reserve. Come on forward.
Good evening, all. Claude Beauchamp, 3718-004. I'm on the Finance Committee, and so what we what we suggest, or what we recommended was $3 million for the repair and replacement, exactly as you said, to increase our percent funded. And that would have a $3.90 impact on the monthly dues, okay? And then we recommended 1.1 for the road reserve. So what's the new number that's being?
1.7 million, I think is what
Sorry,
proposed. 1.7 million, so
Okay.
600K higher.
And the, are the funds from the firehouse, are those part of that?
No, they are in addition. So the roads reserve would actually get 1.7 million plus the $1 million. 1,120, no,
Nine-
1,020,000.
900,000, huh?
Sorry. So each year we get interest from the city payments as well. So the amount of money that goes in each year is 120,000. So 120 plus the 900,000 gives you 1,020,000 in addition to the 1.7. So we'd actually have 2.702 or 20 in the road reserve is what's being proposed.
So I spoke with Susan last week and asked what the balance was in that the road reserve before we started spending for the current expenditure. And I was told that that balance is at $10 million. Is that correct, Susan? Okay. And then looking at the GMU report, the expenditures for 2024, what we're going to spend now is $7 million, according to that.
Actually higher. What you saw in the GME report was, it was an extrapolation on a prior study. And so one of the things we've done as a board is we've asked Eric, the general manager, to commission a new study so we have current data on the roads, so that we have a better estimate of what the impact will be on the roads. But we're gonna spend is it about 8 million this year, Eric? In road, are we gonna spend about 8 million on the current phase 2 road project?
We're going to hire them again to go out and reassess our pavement condition index on everything that has not yet been paved. Because it's been 3 or 4 years since they did a street by street analysis, and with wet winters, conditions change, and so we'll complete this project and we'll come up with a new pavement management plan this summer.
Okay, so but based on what I did see, so it said that, okay, so 7 million and then 4 million the following year. And then after that, a maintenance of 2 million per year. Does that sound about right?
Right, these are all projections, and obviously it has to do with the 5 people that are sitting here at the time, opening the purse strings and deciding how much to put into those funds every year. So these are projections.
Okay, so with a starting point of $10 million, whether we go to 7 or 8 for this year, and then the contributions from what we discussed was 1.1 plus the 900,000 from the.
If we had 10 million starting balance, we spend 8, that would leave 2. If we put in 2.7 million, the next balance remaining would be 4.7
Right.
million
Okay.
for additional road repair in the community.
Okay.
And
then
just to let you know, I think we've got it somewhere around 37% of the community done. So we've got a fair amount left to do. That's why I think we had that Joe's proposing this, and there's been a fair amount of discussion on it.
Okay, so again, but what is the projected amount for the road reserve contributions for this coming fiscal year?
What was just proposed was 1.7 million.
And that does not include
It will include the fire station funds. Those have already been obligated.
that the fire station funds are in that 1.7?
In addition to,
In addition to.
it is confusing, so appreciate the questions. Anything else, Claude?
Okay, no, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Dale?
Dale Welty, 3716 lot 40. I know I'm getting to the minutia here, but every year when we vote, we do some rounding. In other words, we pick the big numbers, then we go to Susan and say, could you round this to the nearest dollar so we don't have to put 39 cents on my check every month? And I think that all should be looked at you raised all the fees 5%, and I think you should give some latitude to finance to kind of round the numbers. I don't think you want your staff having piles of coins all over the association to do that. So just my recommendation is you allow some rounding in your vote.
That's a normal practice. We'll continue that. So, so Susan, let's deliver the punchline. The impact of this proposal, 2775, 1.7, 500 in the reserves, in addition to the budget we just gave, results in a dues of what?
That would result in a dues of $4,021 annually, or a $205 increase year over year, which is $17 per month.
Thank you, Susan. Any other questions, discussion by the board? All right, let's take a vote on the subsidiary motion. All in favor, oh, roll call, sorry.
Director Bill,
Aye.
Director Cook,
Aye.
Director Commission,
Aye.
Director Doherty,
Aye.
President Van Vliet,
Aye.
5 in favor, motion carried.
Well, I guess that just jumped right to 8.3, which is what's the annual assessment?
To comply with the California Civil Code and ensure that the members receive proper notification of the upcoming annual assessment, it's necessary for the Board of Directors to approve the annual assessment for 24-25. The Finance Committee and managers of the POA have previously approved and presented an operating and reserve fund contribution budget to the board. With the changes that were just made, the annual fee will be $4,021 or $17 a month increase year over year. The fiscal impact of the proposed fees has been contemplated and incorporated into the budget for the fiscal year. It's recommended that the Board of Directors approve the annual assessment in the amount of $4,021 to be effective May 1st, 2024. And the final approved annual assessment amount will be rounded in order to be evenly divided by 12. That's our normal operating procedure.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comment, discussion from the community? Discussion from the board?
Susan, what % increase is that over last year?
I believe that is let me see if I can find it, a 5% increase. 5% increase in total. Mhm.
Thank you. I wasn't trusting. my math,
5.5,
but
okay,
5.5% is what I had. Okay.
thank you.
Thank
That's-
you.
Mine is rounded.
And I'll add a comment too. I know one of the things that, when you're on a board of directors, it's one of our primary responsibilities is fiduciary responsibility. And I know it's always, these discussions are hard. Rate increases and dues increases are never popular. They're difficult, but we're here to make difficult decisions. The fact of the matter is costs are up. Inflation has been hitting us the last 2 years. The last year it was up 5%. Us holding this to 5.5, I believe still demonstrates fiduciary responsibility and fiscal responsibility. And as a board, the board should do. Anyone else want to make a statement? All right, let's vote. Roll call, please.
Director Bill,
Aye.
Director Cook,
Aye.
Director Commission,
Aye.
Director Doherty,
Aye.
President Van Vliet,
Aye.
5 in favor, motion carried.
Thank you, Susan. Okay. Lynn, let's talk about well, we got some weighty matters. We got dues, we got reserve funding, we got annual assessments, we got community patrol. My goodness, it's been a busy February for the POA. Why don't you tell us about community patrol contract, how that's going?
Yes, sir. Okay, so in review of the upcoming term for the current Community Patrol Services contract, the Board of Directors requested that the Security Advisory Committee develop a recommendation list of potential candidates to bid on the RFP for Community Patrol Services. The committee provided the board a list of potential candidates based on various criteria they evaluated. The criteria included company training, patrol enforcement, gate access control, staffing, experience, and performance. On December 26, 2023, the general manager issued a notice inviting bidders to 14 vendors. The bidding period closed on January 24, 2024. The POA received 10 responses from the invited bidders. Upon completing the initial review of the submitted proposals, the general manager, board president, and staff completed the scoring matrix developed by the Security Advisory Committee to determine the top 3 candidates. The general manager drafted a response of questions to, the general manager drafted response questions to submit to these candidates, as well as request a best and final proposal of costs in the submitted bids. The general manager received a best and final response from the bidders on February 22nd. Fiscal impact. In review of all the proposals submitted, below is a breakdown of all the proposed costs. As you can see, from year 1 to year 5, the costs varied greatly across the board. The recommendation, it is recommended that the Board of Directors approve funding from the operating budget account 4648 for Community Patrol Services contract for the year 1 costs in amount not to exceed $2,989,073 and enter into a 3-year term contract. Can I say?
Thank you. I'll make a
Yeah,
motion.
okay,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I'll make a motion. Anyone wish to second that?
I'll second.
Got a second. First and second. Questions, comments from the community? Or discussion?
I just want to reiterate what Lynn said. This was put before the security committee. We had 14 companies come in and bid on this. We had a matrix that was defined by the security committee, the board, and the POA staff. The homework was done on this. I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy with the decision here that we're going to go with, but this has been evaluated to death. And this is the right decision as we move forward. And I want to thank Lynn for all the work that she did in putting this together.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I actually disagree with you a little bit. I don't people be displeased because I think I want to commend the association, Eric and Lynn and staff, because we took them through the ringer on this one. We said, you know what, the RFP hasn't been rewritten in about 10 years, so let's rewrite the RFP. At the same time that the person who was leading it left our community. So it was a lot of work for that. There was a lot of concern about, there's been a lot of consolidation in the industry. Are there enough vendors out there to even do this? And so we got our security committee involved. The security committee identified 20 people, 20 companies. They then did a pre-screen on those companies and asked them a whole series of questions. And there were, I think, 14 that were viable, and they went through it. We did an evaluation and scoring on every single one. This is one of the most disciplined and well-documented and vetted processes that I've seen us go through. And I think we have a lot to do. In addition to that, when they modified the RFP, we added the resounding thing we heard back from the community was we need more enforcement. People want to have community patrol, they want to have security, but they want to see more enforcement. You know, we've got a lot of rules. How many pages of rules? 180 some odd pages of rules? 11 billion, yeah. But rules don't do much good without enforcement. And so we actually increased the scope. We increased the number of patrols that we're going to have. And so there's a lot more emphasis being put in this contract. And so while it was a long and detailed process, I think the association is to be commended for doing a great job on it overall.
I'd like to get a clarification, Lynn. In your recommendation, you talked about entering into contract services for year one costs. And we're actually looking at a 3-year contract, is that correct?
Yes, sir. So this is year one funding for the operating budget and a 3-year term contract. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I mean, essentially, this is so everyone understands, this is a 3-year contract with an
Correct.
option,
The
3-year
approximate-
contract, 1 year at a time,
Correct.
effectively,
Total-
with an
the
option.
approximate total for the 3 years is $9,255,032.
So it's it's kind of confusing. It's 3 years, 1 year at a time.
Correct. So, and in the proposals, they gave us 5 years worth. and
An
so-
option for
Correct.
4 and 5.
Correct. Yes. sir.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
And nothing else? Okay, all in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait, nope, got to go back to roll call. Sorry, guys.
Sorry. Director Bill,
Aye.
Director Cook,
Aye.
Director Commission,
Aye.
Director Doherty,
Aye.
President Van Vliet,
Aye.
5 in favor, motion carried.
Okay, and I want to clarify that the contract is going to be awarded to Allied Universal.
And to that end, it was a very competitive process. I mean, we saw some very good things. I know that a lot of things I was impressed with in reviewing the proposal. The multi-billion-dollar company, you're talking about places like Coto de Casa. In fact, I was just down at the Spectrum in Orange County. Allied covers, we looked at other communities like ourselves. They do all that. In addition, we said, hey, what are some additional, if we have, in addition to the surge capacity we need, do you have any other technologies that we can do to maybe continue to improve things? And they have a whole division dedicated to some new technologies, so that we can explore some possibilities to avoid things like we had over the 4th of July and such. And so impressively written proposal, impressive job, and we look forward to the partnership with you. All right, let's, who's here for Carrie?
I can present
Lynn.
that, sir.
Lynn's here for
Yes,
Carrie.
sir.
Okay.
Lynn's here, yes. And I had a slight typo on my last one. I'm not the general manager. For those of you that caught that. Okay, so the board action resolution 2024 resolution on variances for Fiesta Hopper. Annually, the association, along with the activities department, hosts Fiesta Hopper in Canyon Lake. This event is held at the lodge and other designated parks. In addition to the activities at the lodge complex and other designated parks, there are ski shows, a parade throughout a section of the community. Staff is seeking approval for a resolution on variances for the 2024 Fiesta Hopper event on May 25th. It's recommended that the board approve the attached resolution for variances for Fiesta Hopper. And just a little background for those that don't know, this is our approval because the parade and things like that don't follow our normal POA rules and regulations. So that's why we asked for this variance.
Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Comments from the community? Board members? Discussion? Questions? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
Then you want to take us through the senior work group as well?
Certainly. Background, Renee Griffiths has been recommended by the senior work group to be appointed as a new member to the committee. The senior work group voted their approval on February 6th at their monthly meeting. It's recommended that the board of directors appoint this member to the senior work group to fill a vacancy. It's recommended that the board appoint Renee Griffiths as a member effective March 5th.
You have a motion?
Motion.
So moved.
First and second. Members, comments? Board comments?
Yeah, I can say that I think everybody knows Renee. She has a very good financial background. She's going to be treasurer of the senior group. And as a board liaison, we look forward to having her contributions on the committee.
All in favor of approving Renee on the senior work group, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
All right, and finally for Rule Committee alternate.
The Rules Committee Charter outlines that the committee is made up of 7 members plus 1 alternate. 1 vacancy has opened. The following member was interviewed by the committee and is being recommended for appointed as alternate, Allison Peacock.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Member comments? Board comments, questions?
I'll comment since I was in that interview process. Allison's relatively new to the community, but the committee itself thought she brought a different outlook to the committee that we already had, and she brought a fresh outlook. So I welcome her, and I think she's going to be a great asset to this whole community in the long term.
I don't know, Allison, at all. Can you tell us a little bit about her background? Someone?
We don't really have anything about her background except she moved here like 4 months ago and she really wants to be on the board.
She's a lawyer.
If I could add a little background, because I was there. So I think one of the things that we were impressed with is, yes, she's a newer member and she does have long-term goals for the POA as far as volunteering and serving, but she wanted to get involved first before doing that. And I think that really impressed the committee, that she's trying to get engaged with the committees and become active, so she knows, and in her background, in her employment, she understands rules and law. And so I felt like they had this consensus about the way that she presented all those details and that information.
I certainly commend anyone willing to run for the board. I think it's good. I think it's good to have more more people in the community interested. I will add, though, this is my personal opinion. As I've observed on other committees, when you have people that haven't been in the community for a period of time, say a year, that's a big learning curve for them to learn about Canyon Lake and that. And I got to tell you, my personal opinion is, I think they need to live here for a bit before. I think it's good to get engaged. They can come to the meetings because they're always open people, but to be a committee member and make decisions for the community, that's a concern to me.
I would have to agree with Bill. It's to jump right in like that, it seems like it would make more sense to kind of get a feel for the area. I've seen where some committee members have gotten on committee recently and they'd only been here a couple of months. And during the discussions, they're totally lost. They're good with putting their opinions into it, but then their opinions don't balance out with life in Canyon Lake. And personally, I'd like to see someone here at least a year. So if possible, but I know that we don't have a rule for that.
Any comments, questions? All in favor of approving Allison to the Rules Committee, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay.
Can we do a roll call? I didn't catch all the nays. So 2 against, 3 in favor, motion carried.
Okay, moving on to item 8, 28-day reading on this. I'm going to make a motion that we table this item to next month. Anyone second that?
Second.
All in favor of tabling the item till April? Say aye.
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 Any opposed?
5 in favor, motion carried.
All right, Eric, the man with the one arm.
Thanks for pointing that out.
I didn't have to point it out.
Yeah. I broke my arm, this arm last year, and so now I have a matching set this year. Same activity, same exact break, different arm. So I probably should give up snow skiing, but anyway. That's under advisement. Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming. Our pavement project is moving into phase 5. We're going back and picking up phase 3, which was postponed during some heavy rains earlier. We'll be doing phase 3 after phase 10. The concrete portion of the project is complete. Project's going well. Our lodge project here is essentially complete. I think most people in the community have had a chance to come experience the patio and the lounge and the new restaurant. And if you're watching this and you haven't, please come do that. Very well received project. We have just down to a couple punch list items with our general contractor, and we're going to be ending up well under our budget, which is good news. And our next project, tennis project, shade project and picnic area next to the tennis courts. Looks like our shade structures will be arriving, and we're going to be starting that project on March 21st. Sorry, my ring is going off. For more information on all of those things, there's very detailed staff reports in our agendas. Communications does a fantastic report every month, planning and compliance. Operations has tons of detail on all of our reserve expenditures, so I always urge people to go see our staff reports. A few notable items in those staff reports: Thompson Square concert is coming April 20th. Marcy Playground is August 10th, and Colt Ford will be playing here in the Holiday Bay Room on November 2nd. Tickets make great gifts for anniversaries and birthdays and that kind of thing. So 3 shows left this year. And so I think Bill mentioned our e-bike registration. We have 380 bikes registered. Our grace period is over. They will be issuing warnings for a brief time and then citations if you don't. I just took the test and got both of my e-bikes that maybe have 80 miles on them registered. They don't get ridden very often, but I finally registered them. The test is not that difficult, but very informative. I missed one. Not sure which one that was, but. And I want to thank Lynn and Bill and the security committee for all their hard work on the community patrol RFP. It was a very deep dive this year, as Bill said. Bill and Jeff both put a lot of their personal time into this. The security advisory committee, thank you, Kathy. Probably the most thorough vendor request for proposals that we've ever put out. There's no part of this proposal process that went untouched. The RFP was thoroughly reviewed. The agreement was reviewed. We got 10 proposals, and we ended up with the right vendor, and appreciate Allied. It's a lot to go through when you're the incumbent, but welcome back. So we're excited about that. That makes things easier on us. So appreciate the relationship we have. And I know it's a long process to start from the scratch, and it was a very competitive process, but they rose to the top through the process. So here we are, and thank you everybody who contributed to that. It was really a lot of work. I want to congratulate Harmony McNaughton, our clerk of the board and public information officer. Harmony won a California Association of Community Managers Annual Vision Award for innovation. And we're putting out more information about that in great detail that you'll see later this week. But I think 120 people were nominated for 5 awards, and our Harmony won one of those, and she's very deserving. And so we're proud of that. And congratulations, Harmony. Good job. And I also want to really thank Susan and this board and the finance committee for the unbelievable amount of hours that they spend every year on our budget. And Susan completely drives that bus, and I would be lost without you, just for the record. And the amount of work and community collaboration from the finance committee, Claude, our chairman, Susan, the board, every one of our managers. It's a very collaborative process, and no stone goes unturned. And I think we came out with a great budget. And I think most people would agree that living here with everything we have for $335 a month is a pretty great deal. And so thank everyone that was involved in that. And that's all I have. So thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Well, I'm proud to announce we don't have any architectural appeals tonight, so yay for us. So Jeff, Bill, you want to lease off with the final board comments?
The other Jeff, the other Bill. I don't have a lot to say, and I'm sure everybody wants to get out of here. These meetings are really exciting and all that, but I do want to reiterate the Splash into Spring that Darcy had mentioned. I went last year. It's a great event. And if you are into plants, they do give away some free plants. That wasn't my thing. But they do have a lot of different things to look at education wise. Great stuff for families, great stuff for kids. They have the trucks out there all cleaned up. The kids can climb on, they can show them how it works. It's really pretty interesting. And you should look and see where your water comes from and what's required and what's necessary to make it drinkable, especially coming out of this lake. So I would recommend it's March 23rd that you guys go there. And the only other thing I have to say is being on the board and seeing what goes on behind the scenes and all the work with the POA. And those of you that know me when I was running, I was very skeptical, very, very skeptical on stuff. And I will tell you that as far as Harmony is concerned, out of the 120 nominated for 5 awards, she probably should have got all 5. So she's done nothing but impress me since we're here. And I will also, people are going to ask about the security contract. I was one of the ones that ran based on security. I really wanted to find a way to get something better than Allied. All the homework we did, we couldn't find anything better. I know a lot of people will complain. Nobody's perfect. We went through it with a fine-tooth comb. We talked to bigger companies, smaller companies. Kathy sitting there, Kathy Lekwa was involved in that. She's an engineer, did a deep dive on a lot of things, contributed more than I can even mention. And I do have to admit that Allied surprised me, and they really did win the day on this. That's about all I've got to say. Thanks. You can go, Joe.
Okay. I'm not George. Yeah, I'd like to just comment also about Allied. I think I'm excited about them winning the contract. I know they were aggressive in their pricing. I know they're familiar with our facility, but more importantly, they're familiar with what we want to see in changes. And I think they got the message on that. So time will tell. I'm also excited to know that this budget includes a community patrol manager that is on our staff that will oversee this. And I expect, and I know enforcement is our main priority because that's the biggest complaint we get from the members. And that's our goal, is to improve our enforcement out there in the community. As a Green Committee representative, I want to let everybody know we meet the second Thursday of every month, and it's an open meeting. You all welcome to attend. It's in the Magnolia Room on not this Thursday, but next Thursday. And they're currently discussing a number of things on the golf course, but primarily a tree program for removing and replacing trees throughout the golf course or around the golf course. Also in the senior center, I want you to know the potluck dinner is canceled for this Sunday, or this coming event, because it's conflict with Easter Sunday. And bingo is going to be on Sunday, the 17th at 12 p.m. Tuesday work group, another one of my committees, is doing some concrete work on hole number 18. And you got to hand it to these guys. A lot of them are in their 80s. Most of them are in their 70s and 80s. And they're out there busting concrete, forming and pouring concrete on the golf course. And then there's a number of ladies that are out there working alongside them, shoveling dirt and mixing cement. So it's a great team, and you should be very grateful that we have them out there working. The committee appreciation dinner is this Thursday night. For any of you that are serving on committees, I hope you've responded. It's a great event where the community can show our appreciation towards all those who have committed so much time and effort towards our committees. So it's a great event. And lastly, I think everybody knows it's election season again. And we have two candidates running for two positions. So people say, why vote? Why get involved? Well, first of all, we need to have quorum. If we don't have quorum, we will not have board members to fill those spots. So we need to get the word out and vote. There are 3 measures that are on the ballot, and those measures are important to the success and advancement of our community. So you need to be informed on those. The Senior Center is holding a Meet the Candidate event right here in the Holiday Bay Room on April 10th at 6 o'clock, where you can discuss with the candidates directly any issues you may have, and you can get updates on the 3 measures. So I think it's an important and valuable event to have, even though the election is a slam dunk. And I look forward to a good attendance on that event on Wednesday night, April 10th. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Alex?
I don't think I have as much to say as the first two, but I want to, you got 30 minutes left to vote. So if you've not got your vote in, you could run to City Hall right now and get that vote in. Local politics is where you really can make change. So as we go the next 6 months, when we run into November, don't dwell on the presidential election. It's all the local stuff that actually will move the needle. So make sure you guys are paying attention on that. I really want to thank, just under a year ago, I was nominated to be on as a treasurer. And I was like, whoa, I'm going to be overseeing the finance committee as a liaison. I want to thank the finance committee. I've learned so much that I didn't know about the community, and being on this board from that committee and being involved with that. And I want to thank all you guys. I've asked some pretty open-ended, maybe dumb questions purposely, because I kind of wanted to understand a little bit the thought processes. But I really thank you guys. You guys work really, really hard. You dig into the numbers. This is not just a committee that spends a couple hours once a month. They are spending free time at home, playing with numbers, figuring stuff out, interviewing every single manager that has a budget at the same time. So it's a lot of extra work. And I just want to thank you guys for all the hard work you guys did on this. I know we didn't, directly take everything you said and agreed to it, but I think the overall budget that we came up with is right in line with your thinking and so forth is what we wanted to do. So thank you. A year ago, I kind of brought up quietly employee of the month, or now we're employee of the quarter. I will say, and Lynn knows this, that if it wasn't for all these employees of the POA, I probably wouldn't be standing up here today. They are remarkable. It's a remarkable staff. They are good people. They care about this community. I see Harmony and Lynn and everybody, and a lot of these people started at the pool and things like that. That's pretty remarkable. All of a sudden you are a pool attendant, maybe as a teenager, and next thing you know, you're up here, on this board and doing things for this community, living here, living the life here. And it's really, really remarkable. If anybody doesn't know, we have well over 170 employees. That's a lot of people. And I could probably say maybe outside the school district, probably one of the largest employers around. So I think that's really good. And congratulations on Faith. Now she's over at the operations building. So she's out of the eyes and doesn't get seen every day from everybody. That's kind of where everybody goes to get away when they're done with everybody knocking on their door. But congratulations to her. And again, you have 30 minutes to go vote. Elections are coming up. It's going to be a crazy year. But keep your sanity, and thank you guys.
I would like to echo what Joe said about getting out and voting. It's important to vote on those proposals, or 3 proposals. They're important, and we got to meet quorum. That's what we need to do. On a little levity on the election, I walked into a meeting the other day, and Bill was not present in that meeting. And someone said, Oh, look, one of the two best candidates is here. I thought that was pretty funny. I want to say a couple things on the budget process. You know, there's no guidance under California law, and we're, as you know, governed by Davis Sterling, that guides us through this budget process. Similarly, there are no guidelines as to the minimum reserve funds for HOAs or POAs, the latter which make up a good portion of the budget that we passed tonight. The only fast statutory rule is that once every 3 years, we need, as a minimum, we need to engage a competent reserve specialist to give us guidance on our reserve account requirements. And of course, we do that. So aside from that, we're pretty much on our own on these budgets. Now, we've been doing this for 55 years, and our process is pretty well established, but it's meticulous and it's time consuming, as pretty much everyone has mentioned tonight. But that's why I want to take this opportunity to once again thank all of those people that were involved in the budget process this year. Security Advisory Committee, POA staff, the Finance Committee, Susan, of course, the department managers, and this board. The community and everybody, of course, with a functioning crystal ball. So thank you for seeing this, all of you for seeing this process through to a conclusion. And I believe the community is indebted to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. I'm just going to add a couple more points. Again, I'd like to add my congratulations to Harmony. I believe it's well-deserved. Also want to emphasize the congratulations to Shauna and the Family Matters Club. Again, there's a club, there's no dues for that club. They just do everything for the families here to get out and do things. And to that end, if you're not aware, they are having their Lucky Duck Derby on March 10th. They're having their Easter Carnival on March 24th. And on May 5th, it's Superhero Training Day. So Greg, you and I can go get our capes on and get trained, I guess. But if for family members and that, great, that's a great opportunity, all just fun. You know, bring the kids out and enjoy it. So they do a great job for us. One thing that wasn't mentioned, I talked about the budgets, was I talked about food costs being up. Another reason for the cost increase is we are increasing our hours at the lodge. So why don't you announce that, Eric?
Nice segue. And thank you, Andrea, for reminding me that I forgot to talk about that. So we're very pleased to announce that we're going to be expanding our hours here at the lodge. The lighthouse, you'll see more on this in the Friday flyer and in our socials, probably starting tomorrow. But the new restaurant hours will be Monday and Tuesday closed, Wednesday 4 to 9, Thursday 4 to 9, Friday 4 until 10, Saturday 12 to 10, Sunday 12 to 8. And that's in the Lighthouse restaurant. The Sunset Lounge and Terrace hours are Monday and Tuesday closed, Wednesday 12 p.m. to 9 p.m., Thursday 12 p.m. to 9 p.m., Friday 12 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. So and then Sunday 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. So the big news for me here is that we'll be doing lunch Wednesday through Sunday from 12 o'clock on at Sunset Lounge and Terrace, so people can enjoy the patio and the lounge area, and expanded hours in the Lighthouse restaurant. So we're excited to announce that. And as Bill said, in venues that are subsidized, everything we do here is subsidized except Happy Camp and the banquet budget, right? And so when you're open longer in a subsidized amenity, it actually costs money, but this is what our members demand, and it's finding a balance of what the community wants and what the appetite is, and making the most use of our amenity and providing the best possible experience. We're doing all this for $335 a month. It's a pretty great place to live. So
To that end, we've had a cool and wet spring. February and March have been pretty cool and wet. And I understand in a couple of weeks now, we're going to start to get back into the high 70s again. And we look forward to, again, great days and evenings on the terrace. So with that, how about thank you. Yes, a reminder. Yeah, it just says next meeting date. The next meeting date, we will be meeting in April. We normally meet the first Tuesday. We will be meeting the second Tuesday. We'll be meeting April 9th. Same place, same time. April 9th is the next board meeting. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion we adjourn.
That's two. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. Look forward to seeing you next month. And again, get out and vote.